Moving ahead, viewers, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has said that Russia is facing mounting economic and military pressure as its war in Ukraine drags on. Speaking in Munich, Rutte said Russia's oil revenues have fallen by around one-third, adding that Moscow is burning through its sovereign wealth fund to sustain the conflict. Rutte also pointed to what he described as crazy losses suffered by Russian forces on the battlefield, estimating that around 65,000 Russian troops have been killed or wounded over the past 2 months. On diplomacy, the NATO chief said the alliance and the United States remain fully aligned on the issue of potential peace talks, stressing that NATO and Washington are on the same page. He reiterated that any peace negotiations must be led by Ukraine and must respect its sovereignty and territorial integrity, while warning that Russia should not be allowed to benefit from its aggression. Rutte said NATO will continue to support Kyiv militarily and politically as pressure on Russia intensifies. Let's now welcome Dr. Gilbert Doctorow, Russian affairs expert, joining us from Brussels in this discussion. Dr. Doctorow, thanks very much for joining us. It's good to see you. If you would have heard the address that Zelensky gave at the Munich conference today, he clearly said that even in the trilateral talks, it so appears that the US seems to ask Ukraine of more concessions than Russia. How do you respond to those statements?
Well, concessions is an interesting word. The reality is that Ukraine has lost the war, not is losing the war, has lost the war by all conventional understanding of what a winner and what a loser is in a war. They have lost what it took them 8 years to build. The whole defense system in the east of Donbass, particularly in the east of Donetsk Oblast, has been taken over by the Russians, despite all of the billions of dollars and the vast expertise of Western engineers that was used to build defenses in a whole series of cities in the eastern part of the Donetsk Oblast. They have all been overrun, taken by the Russians, to the amazement of American military observers. Of course, they don't speak about that openly because it would sound defeatist. But the reality is that the Russians are now within striking distance of total victory in Donbass.
Okay.
They are now encircling the two remaining rather small fortified cities of Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. So the end is in sight, and the sound of desperation is what you were citing in in the Secretary-General Rutte's remarks.
All right. As far as reality goes, where does the Russian economy lie at this point in time? It's not seen much growth, about only 1%. How much losses has it really suffered, and how long can it go on continuing this war?
The Russia's slowdown from 4% a year, more than a year ago, in average GDP increase, to 1% that you cited correctly in 2025 is self-imposed. It is the result of a peculiar and many Russians believe mistaken policy of the central bank and its director Nabiullina, who is daily or weekly denounced on Russian talk shows for holding back the economy by setting impossibly high interest rates of 20%, which now supposedly will drop all the way to 15.5%. Anyone who knows something about business and industry understands perfectly that ordinary business cannot survive under conditions of interest rates of that nature. So that the Russian economy has only has had still a positive result, unlike the negative results in Europe, as in Germany or England, is the result of the special measures that have been taken to subsidize credits given to preferred industries which are necessary for the military effort and or are otherwise prioritized by the government. that has saved the Russian economy from what otherwise would have been much worse results from a 15 or 20% prime interest rate.
Sure. Doctor, do continue to stay on with me. Let's discuss some other aspects of the